What's up, everybody? I don't know if I'm coming across. Oh, now I am. Yay! Yay! I finally see myself, so maybe I'm doing things right at this point. So, full disclosure here, I have been literally talking for 15 minutes all to myself. Just nobody but me. Just just talking to myself because I didn't do this right. So now, where was I? What was I talking about? I was having such a good conversation too with myself. Okay, so what I was talking about was the Eternals trailer that dropped this week, and I was saying how that trailer was how the trailer, while it was a good trailer, it did not do an awful lot to ramp up my excitement for this movie, because there are questions that I had. And number one question is, if we got Shang-Chi coming out on September 3rd, and they're doing a huge marketing push right now to get the word out about this movie, that is all actually the word of mouth on Shang-Chi has been great. And that is a movie that I am very much looking forward to seeing. But okay, anywho, I'm looking forward to seeing Eternals. But this trailer, the timing of it kind of bothered me, because we should be pushing the Shang-Chi film, and instead we're pushing a movie that is so big and beautiful and bombastic, and it's got an Academy Award winning director attached to it. You're taking just a little bit of Shang-Chi's shine, if you catch what I'm saying. Also, um, this movie doesn't. I mean, as far as the trailer is concerned, it answered a few questions that a lot of fans had, but it didn't do a whole lot to take me further into hype town than I was already. I was already planning to see this movie. I think it looks beautiful, and I'm in hype town for it, but I'm not like over the top, if that makes sense. Then there was another question that I think that I have an answer to. I mean, I'm sure you found answers also from other YouTubers, but I believe I've got an answer for all of those people who were asking if the Eternals were unable to interfere with what's going on Earth, unless it was dealing with a deviant. Why didn't they step in when Thanos came? Isn't Thanos a deviant? And short answer is no. Thanos is not a deviant. Thanos is an eternal. He was born of two eternal parents, but he has a deviant gene. So he's got like this mutation in one of his genes that makes him on the outside, and maybe some of his personality traits were affected by this mutation as well. But on the outside, he looks deviant, but he is eternal through and through. And it kind of made me think of this country's racist history. And I'm not sugarcoating shit. So if you have a problem with me talking about the history of this country, then I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But there was a time when if a person had one single drop of African blood in them, they were considered black. And I thought about that because I'm like, I don't think that one drop rule applies to Eternals. He has a deviant gene. That's it. That's all. It's just like when you see black people with blonde hair and blue eyes. And some people think, how could that happen? There is a gene that creates black hair and blue eyes in black people. It's natural. It's something that happens. Genes mutate and they create these anomalies. And Thanos is one of those anomalies. So Thanos is actually related to one of the Eternals. He is a cousin to one of the Eternals. So he really doesn't he's not a deviant. It was totally within canon for him to be able to come here and do what he did with no interference from the Eternals. So I hope that helps somebody today. And, a lot of times, nobody is really here right now, but if you had that question, I hope that helped as far as giving you an answer. And again, if there was ever a question about what my main topics are going to be in a weekly wrap up, I will try all the time to have them in the description of the live stream. I will cite my sources as well. So if you want to go back and read articles and find out exactly what it was I was talking about in that particular live stream, that will be available to you. And I appreciate you for using it. So my first, another one of my off the tops is concerning the writer producer for an Ice-T film, and he was shot to death the other day in New York City. So generally, I don't know this movie. This is a movie that I did not see. It's called Equal Standard. The writer and producer of that movie was Joseph Tahim Bryan, and he was recently shot to death in New York City on Thursday night. And he was sitting in his brand new Mercedes Benz when at 11:15 p.m. An individual approached his vehicle and shot and killed him. And there a lot of conversation has been had about what Ice-T's reaction was, and I can say this, and I can only speak from my experience. I can't speak for anybody else's. We become desensitized to murder, especially in the community, the African American community. I want to say the community at large, the global community. We are desensitized to murder. So the big story to a lot of people was how Ice-T felt. And I'm thinking, no, the big story is that another creative has been lost. Another storyteller has been cut down. Another person who will never see the movies that he wrote and directed, we'll never see him again. And while I am not familiar with the movie Equal Standard, the stories that they are telling resonate with someone. Maybe it didn't resonate with me enough for me to seek this movie out. But then creators are dying. And it's not just creators, it's other people, and it's just sad that these are people who are contributing to the greater zeitgeist, and to get shot down in your brand new Benz. It makes me think, that was the motive behind the murder. Some people just can't stand to see you doing well. And this is Joseph Tahim Bryan. He was associated with some of the bigger rappers in the New York area, and some of the, from my era anyway, not from this present era, but from my era, he was associated with rappers from Mobb Deep and Naughty by Nature and Ice-T himself. So, there was a lifestyle that was attached to those entertainers. But when you see somebody stepping out and trying to do something different, it is heartbreaking that before they can realize their potential, they're gone. So, condolences to the family of Mr. Bryan and the fans of his work, and of course his friends and all of that. Deepest sympathies go out to you, and I've suffered a loss myself. I lost my dad just a few weeks ago. So I know the sting, and I wish I could say right now today, I wish I could say, oh, it's going to get better because I still hurt. But surround yourself with people who keep his memory alive. Keep it alive through stories and through his work. So sorry to hear about his death. Okay, moving on. One of the big stories, and this one was reported the story that I have here is as reported by Variety. Misha Green, who gave us Lovecraft Country, and Journey Smollett, who also starred in Lovecraft Country on HBO Max, they are developing a Birds of Prey spinoff movie. And it's going to be focused on the Black Canary, and it's going to be an HBO Max. It's going to be an HBO Max movie. And let me see here. So yeah, it was super duper exciting to hear this because number one, in that Birds of Prey movie, there was a lot that I didn't like, and I'm just being honest. But one of those things was not Journey Smollett in this role. I thought she did an outstanding job with the material that she had to work with, and I am excited to see her continue in this role. One of my big questions, and it's not, there's been a lot of streaming success. So there are a lot of shows and movies that come out to streaming, and they make big money, as far as bringing eyes to that streaming service is concerned. But so I'm not so upset. There are some people who are like, why is this not coming to the big screen? Well, right now, even movies that come to the big screen are not guaranteed to be box office powerhouses, especially in the era that we're in right now. So that right there is not my question. My question is simply, are we doing this without Green Arrow? Are we doing this show and we are not going to discuss Green Arrow? And are we doing this show and who is going to be the primary villains? And if you got any suggestions, I'm thinking, who would I want to see as a villain in this movie? Because she don't have her own villains like say Wonder Woman and Batman, and she doesn't have her own villains too much. She has I would say the closest thing to her villain would be Cheshire. So I'm wondering if we're going with that, with her meeting up with Cheshire, or are we going to introduce Green Arrow, or are we going to see something different? Count Vertigo, something that would make it useful for her to be the main protagonist in this movie. Not saying that she can't carry it, but I'm just saying, for her to be a B player, and this is not to say B players are not going to get the eyes on that property, because we saw what Marvel did with some B players, and we're going to see again with this Shang-Chi movie. But I want to know if Black Canary, if we're going to have a meaty enough script for her to carry that movie on her own without Green Arrow, and to warrant another movie or warrant another Birds of Prey, because I wouldn't mind seeing that. I really, I wouldn't. I don't have a preference as to whether they make another one of those Bird of Prey movies. But if they're going to put the money behind it at HBO Max, then let's go. Let's go. So anywho, so they're Misha Green and Journey Smollett are developing the project with DC Films president Walter Hamada and Galen Weisman. And let me tell you, Walter Hamada, for all the flack that he takes, he seems to be going in the direction of, okay, we know what didn't work. Let's try some other things to see if this might work. He is going about building this universe differently than his predecessors. And to be quite honest, I'm here for it. Why would you keep doing the same thing time and time again if it didn't work? You keep going. And the well that will never run dry is Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. That well is never going to run dry. You can keep going back to it, but what about, let's try something different. So I'm liking this Black Adam, this Shazam. I liked the Suicide Squad. I'm liking the chances that Hamada is taking as he takes over the reins. This Blue Beetle casting, the Zatanna. I'm liking all of that. I'm ready to see something new coming out of the DC properties because, again, we could keep ringing the same bell over and over again. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. There are so many characters that they can choose to use. Tell a story that really nobody has heard before. And get your biggest fan base behind the fact that we are not going to do a spot-on comic book adaptation. We are going to take liberties when we retell these stories because you already read the comic books. You read the comic books already. We know you like those. So if we take a story and turn it into a kind of what if scenario, we change one or two things, that's going to keep you interested if you stop being so judgmental. And it's going to bring new eyes to these properties and create new fans of these works. And everybody's winning. We all eating at that point. And you can't beat that. If everybody's eating. Everybody eating. You can't beat that. All right. So I'm excited to see what comes out of the Black Canary. And congratulations to that sister, Journey Smollett and Misha Green. And I hope that this is not the end of a partnership between these two ladies because they gave us one of the greatest masterpieces of 2020, 2021, and that was Lovecraft Country. And I think HBO Max dropped the ball by not giving that a season 2, but let's continue working with this pair if we're not going to get that second Lovecraft Country. So yeah. Let me know, your thoughts on the Black Canary announcement down in the comments of the chat. I'd love to hear what you think. And do not be intimidated. You see the tip link. Of course I take tips. But I'm not requiring you to give me a tip for me to answer your question. That don't make sense to me. I'm not nobody. I'm just another person like you. It's not like I write comic books or some shit where I can give you some inside information. I just gather this information and I enjoy talking about it, and I would love to interact with you about anything, to be quite honest. After I get through with the subjects that I have set out to talk about, we can talk about anything. Me and you, we can sit here and talk about what kind of day we having. So, entertainment adjacent. And it's entertainment. It's a talk show. You already know where I'm going. It's this Jeopardy host search. It's right back on. Just a few days after saying, hey, we found a host. Mike Richards, gonna be our guy. After just a week and some change, all these scandals started coming out about Mike Richards. Mike Richards is according to some people, just a piece of shit. But he made unflattering and downright ugly comments on an 8-year-old podcast series. Now, I believe that some people can change and grow. And if this is not a pattern of behavior, then, canceling somebody or whatever is something. But this man ain't canceled right now. This man ain't canceled. He is still the executive producer of this show, so he's still gonna eat. What you can't be is the face of a game show, something beloved, as beloved as Jeopardy. You can't be the face of that if you got all this baggage. You know what I'm saying? Yes, behind the scenes, you can stay back there and you can live forever behind the scenes. But when you start talking about, I'm going to be, hey, I just cut myself out. Thank you, Reinhardt68, for your super chat and your comment. Love your channel. Wanted your opinion on Shang-Chi. 2 big time reviewers that I watched, both loved it. Let me tell you, when I was sitting here talking to myself, because I don't know if you heard that part of the live stream, I did something wrong earlier, and I was sitting here just riffing, going off, talking to myself, and yep, none of it was coming through to y'all. And I talked about Shang-Chi, but I'm going to tell you, I love martial arts movies, period, point blank. So for this to have already been martial arts and Tony Leung and Michelle Yeoh attached, I was already in. They already had me. I've not seen the movie yet. I'm going to see it when you see it, and but I'm super excited. There was one of those featurette spots that I was showing to my son just yesterday. Man, the fight on that bus looks crazy. It looks crazy good. So yes, to answer your question, Reinhardt, I'm super duper excited for Shang-Chi. Can't wait. Already got my ticket, and I don't know if you can see, I done got my second, so I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be in that thing, mask on and everything, because that looks like it's right up my alley. I'm so happy to hear all of the good reviews coming out about Shang-Chi, because I think it was a much needed thing. Just like we needed Black Panther, Shang-Chi is going to inspire somebody. It's going to inspire somebody, and that's what these movies should. If they ain't entertaining, they should be inspiring, and with some hope, it's doing a little bit of both. So yes, I appreciate your generous tip, and yes, looking very forward to Shang-Chi. And let me see. Oh, I was talking about this Mike Richards guy. You can't you can't come to try to host Jeopardy with all this baggage. You got way too much baggage, bro. So, search is back on for a permanent host for Jeopardy, and good luck to him. I mean, I've got my choices, I've got my ideas, and I think a lot of people know I'm a Star Trek fan. Above being a Marvel fan, I'm a Star Trek fan, and I would love to see LeVar Burton, who has already proven that he doesn't have the baggage, and that he definitely has a love for encouraging knowledge amongst people. That you would think that would be something that would fit hand in hand, and guess what? I guess that's not evident to Sony. Sony has other ideas, and good luck to him. If you pick another piece of garbage, guess what? I'm going to be here to talk about him. Definitely going to talk about him if you pick another piece of garbage. And again, I'm glad this man didn't get canceled and people just stopped, messing with him, period. He still got his job. He's still going to eat. You just can't do Jeopardy. So if you have an opinion on the Jeopardy host, I invite you to comment below. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. And again, if you want to know what is on the itinerary for my show at any given time, you can look in the description. You'll see a little list of what I plan to talk about. Now, if y'all have other ideas, I'm game. Just like I just did the little segue and talked to Reinhardt about Shang-Chi, which I'm super excited for. I can't wait to see what they do and what these post-credit scenes that they keep telling us is so great. So if we want to derail things, we can, because again, this is fun for me. So yeah. Now I'm going to talk about What If, episode 2. What if T'Challa was a Star-Lord? Now y'all, I don't know how many joined me last week and heard my thoughts about What If episode 1. And the one thing that I had, the big complaint I had, was the voice acting in episode 1. The story I'm all good with, because it is, it's what if. You can do damn near anything. But I definitely think that this episode, the T'Challa being a Star-Lord, it embodied what if could be. It had everything. It has, T'Challa, of course, going out instead of Peter Quill. And you see all of the changes that rippled throughout the whole universe because of this one change. Because you got a person who is completely whole already, and he got sent out to space, and mom and daddy raised him well and that kind of thing. He goes out to space and he changes the entire landscape of the MCU in that 20 years that he was in space, to include giving a good argument to Thanos and keeping him from going on his genocidal journey. And that to me is like, wow. Because that's one of the things we didn't really see in Avengers Infinity War. We didn't see nobody try to sit down and say, you and me both love Michelle Yeoh. She is a fucking legend. She is a legend. Yeah. So yeah, we didn't see nobody try to reason with Thanos. It was always, telling him how crazy he was. Everybody told him how crazy he was. So at the end of the day, crazy is as crazy does. You keep telling me I'm crazy, so I'm going to keep doing these crazy things. But if you tell me a different way to do what it is I'm trying to do, then you might talk me into it. So I like that. I like that idea that T'Challa was able to get to Thanos. I also like the idea that the Collector decided that he was not going to just collect. He was going to... Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna answer you right this second, because it looked like it's me and you. So he says, I'm glad you got vaccinated. I got mine back when they first came out, and I think that there's more to it, but it's cut off. So yeah, I got vaccinated. I'm gonna tell you, I was one of those people who was very wary of what might be in this vaccine. Not saying that the vaccine, that they trying to mind control. I'm not all of that stuff. I'm just, hey, the vaccine was made kind of quick. Let me watch other people and see what happens. And then I'm going to tell you, my father passed, but that wasn't COVID. Last week, was that the week before? My brother and his family got COVID. Everybody's good. Everybody's good now. So there's nobody had to be hospitalized. But I'm like, no. It's too easy to just go get this jab. Now, what I'm trying to do now is talk my son. I got a son who is 27 and his girlfriend who is 22. And, they feel like I was feeling. This happened too quick. I'm trying to talk them into getting it because, it's too easy It's too easy. Yes, everybody wearing masks and we washing our hands and all this stuff. Let's go ahead and get this shot so that we don't have to worry. If we do get it, hopefully it'll be a mild case. It won't be something that'll take us out. So there's that thought. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you for doing your part, Reinhardt, especially doing it in the beginning before things have gotten to the level that they have. Because right now, I'm in Texas. I don't know where you are. Stuff is crazy, man. It's crazy here. The hospitals is completely full. They can't take any more ICU patients. They starting to offer $100 for you to get your first shot. They doing everything they can for people to go and get vaccinated. And then you got the lieutenant governor of Texas saying it's black people's fault that things is happening the way they are in Texas. So I could go on about this whole the way that came off real racist. But one thing I like about talking about movies, Star Trek, and that stuff is universal. You know, even when somebody tries to yuck on your yum, it is a universal thing to love movies and TV. And if we don't agree on nothing else, we probably can agree that Star Trek is one of the greatest television franchises, point blank period. And then we can build a common ground off of that, you know. So there are, you know, yeah, it's hard to get across to a lot of black folks because of distrust. And myself, I'm one. And I'm seeing that you are Team LeVar for Jeopardy, and I don't think we can go wrong with LeVar Burton. He has proven that he is about this education life. He spent the first few years of his life, the earlier parts of his career, teaching people to read. He, to this day, has a podcast, and I wish I could remember the name of it, that is encouraging reading. He is about this life. The TV shows that he has done have been about utopian society. He did that for us, you know, for Star Trek and Roots. That even though, you know, that you're telling us a story of slavery, it's a story that at that time wasn't being told. So how can you vote against LeVar Burton and pick this up? Just knock my candle over. Just just pick this guy who's got all this baggage. So yeah, I definitely definitely appreciate LeVar Burton, and if he still wants the gig at Jeopardy, I hope they give it to him. If he don't want it no more, I don't blame him. You know. So yeah, so we was talking about the What If episode, and long story short, I thought this was a fantastic episode. It has gotten me reignited my excitement for this series, because I'm not saying that I wasn't excited, but they played it kind of safe with that first episode, and I wanted to see more. Let's step out into the real world of what if. You know, these are things, what if this happened instead of that? You know, that's what I definitely was looking more forward to. Now, I also talked about DC's Titans last week. I talked about episodes 1 and 2. I wanted to save 3 to talk about this week with number 4. And let me tell you, the first 3 episodes, I was super excited about the first 3. This last one, I think they took a step back in episode 4. It's like they lost me. It was like the first 3 episodes, they came out swinging, literally. You got Jason Todd getting his brains beat out by Batman. And then Batman beating the Joker's brains out. Then you got all of these wonderful things going on. They just set up this wonderful story of how Jason Todd turns into the Red Hood, and they rushed it a bit. I will say that they rushed it a little bit, but I still was excited because I'm like, okay. And then they started teasing that Blackfire, who is the sister of Starfire, that Blackfire was going to find her this week because she'd been looking for her since the end of last season. So I felt like we were going to get I felt like we were promised a confrontation between these two and that it would be next level. But what it turned out to be is somehow Blackfire gets caught and she's locked up in like a containment cell, and Starfire has to break her out. So when I think about episode of which episode, Clarence, hey Clarence, how you doing today? First and foremost, but you didn't like the episode of Titans, or what if? Because I got this slowed down so I can actually keep up with the comments if I was to ever get some. But anywho, I didn't like what they did with this Blackfire and Starfire thing. It's like, you guys promised us something. The latest Titans. Okay. Yeah, man, you're like me because that wasn't what I was promised. First of all, and then secondly, why are we in such a hurry? We got 13 episodes. So you start off, we kill Jason Todd. Okay, I'm okay with that. Why did we have to rush into showing that he was the Red Hood? And in the next episode, why we got to rush into him doing something so devious such as killing Hank? I don't have a problem with them killing Hank. First of all, I think it was a strategic move on Jason Todd's part because Hank was the one that was saying, "Hey, I find him, I'm gonna kill him." So he played him. He played the sympathy card because he knows that Hank did that whole 12-step program. So he didn't want to see Jason out there on no drugs. And I get it. All of that build up, and then this anticlimactic fourth episode. I'm like, you guys, you definitely could have given us better for that story. Dawn just leaving and Superboy feeling like it was all his fault. Okay, I get that, but that's it. Y'all just left that story like that. And then this Blackfire, Starfire thing, I've been so pumped to see this this interaction between these two sisters, and then here we are. It was just anticlimactic. Come on, get in the car, girl. I just didn't get it. I don't get why they built it up the way they did. Unless they're going to do like they did in the Teen Titans cartoons. Says, you got to forgive me. You remember that I've got a 27-year-old son. So at that era, I had to watch the Teen Titan cartoons with him. And when he stopped watching them, I continued. So in the cartoon, Blackfire came, visited her sister, and kind of just took her place with her friends, and was, but she was up to no good while she was doing this, but she took her place with the rest of the Titans, and Starfire was feeling real left out. Unless they going for that, but then why would you set it up like there's going to be this big confrontation at the end of last season? Didn't like it. They're gonna lose me if we have another clunker like that. That one was bad. So hopefully next week is better. And I'm glad somebody else is watching it at least, and somebody who I can bounce ideas off of. Another thing that happened last week for my is in the news was Anthony Mackie signing his Captain America contract, and Clarence Brown. Oh, they need to get on with developing Garth. You are 100% correct. they even teased that at the beginning of the first episode of the season that, okay, it looks like he is going to start learning how to be other animals because he was having that imaginary conversation with Rachel because he misses her so much. He's watching these wildlife videos and he's talking about it and saying that she was telling him, you might be able to turn into other animals if you just believe you can. Look, man, he had 3 years to believe. It's time to start turning into other stuff. It's time to, at least, now we got this HBO budget. At least give us the gorilla. At least give us that. He did that in the cartoons quite a bit. Give us the gorilla, the tiger, and the snake that he turned. He did turn into a snake before. If you give me that, I might be satisfied until next season. And then also with Gar, is he becoming like a de facto leader? Because everything went through him last week, with this last episode. Everything went through him. Starfire finding the solutions to her problems went through him. Connor talking Connor off the ledge, that went through him. Even at the end of the Hank episode where Hank got killed, even then it went through Beast Boy. So I'm like, okay, are we setting him up to be the character that Nightwing should be, but is incapable of being because he's too much like Batman? So again, I'm all for taking liberties with the original source material, but come on, let's make sense, And if that's what you're doing, if you're developing Gar, let's develop him. Let's go ahead and pump the brakes on telling the Red Hood story, because that can play out throughout the entire season, and start giving a little bit more time to these backup team members of the Titans. It's kind of like what a lot of people felt about Michael Burnham in Star Trek Discovery. It's like a lot of attention is paid to her at the expense of everybody else on the bridge. And while I love Michael Burnham and Sonequa Martin Green, and I can't stand when people do this whole Monday morning quarterbacking of that series, because I guess I love it that much, they're right. At the expense of everybody around her, we've gotten some huge character development from Michael Burnham, Sonequa Martin Green. So this is one of those situations I can see Gar getting a little bit more attention, but everybody needs to be developed. Everybody, instead of every time we need something done really fast, we'll go get Superboy. I need to see more about his personality, his struggles. He is legitimately half Superman and the other half Lex Luthor. There should be an internal battle that we see 100% of the time that we're not seeing. So again, I didn't got on the soapbox. I like the show and I'm gonna try to stick with it, but some of their choices just disappoints me sometimes. So yeah, back to Anthony Mackie though. Was anybody surprised that Anthony Mackie signed the Captain America contract? Because who else was gonna do it? Who else was supposed to be Captain America? You guys have been, again, building up to Anthony Mackie taking the shield as Sam Wilson. So why would that be such a huge announcement? I'm going to tell you. There are a couple reasons, because I don't know if you've watched a previous video about, I talked about Bob Chapek from Disney, the Disney CEO. I don't like this guy. What I know about him, I don't like. And he thinks he's smart. But these are games that, anybody can see through. You're making these types of announcements to take the focus away from the mistakes, the blunders that he's made as far as PR goes. The things with Scarlett Johansson and how he continuously he can't help himself. He has to answer everything in the press. And that's not the way the Disney CEO should behave. Furthermore, we have this thing with Shang-Chi when he called that movie, uh, he didn't call the movie an experiment, but the choice of word was bad. It was a bad choice of words, which just tells me that he has no interpersonal relations skills. He does not know how to. He doesn't know how to talk to people, and for him to be the CEO of Disney, I expect better. So now you start putting out these fires with these other announcements, and it's like, this is shit that we knew. Though we knew Anthony Mackie was going to be Captain America, because if he wasn't, y'all would have some real explaining to do. Some real explaining to do. And then the next question for a lot of people is Sebastian Stan coming back? Why wouldn't he? I don't know if he is, but why wouldn't he? Why would he not come back? Every movie that Chris Evans starred as Captain America in had another hero there, had somebody else for him to play off of. He was never just, by himself. So, well, okay, no, because even in the first movie, he had Sebastian Stan. He had somebody to play off of, and Peggy Carter. He had somebody to play off of. So who is Anthony Mackie going to play off of, unless they develop the character who's going to be the new Falcon? And I'd be with that. I'd be with it. That was loud. But yeah. The Anthony Mackie news, the only thing I hope is that he has streaming as part of his contract. Like, I need you to say that the streaming revenue needs to be part of my contract. Say Reinhardt68 says, yeah, Bob Iger would not have made these blunders. You are 100% correct. It's like when we hear about Bob Iger, it's because he wants us to hear about him. Back when he was the CEO, if it was something that he said, it was simply because he wanted us to hear about what he said. With this dude, Bob Chapek, he says so much off the cuff, really awful stuff that could be made a big deal out of. And it's not like he's doing it because he wants us to hear all these things he says. He can't help himself. He makes so many mistakes that that we're bound to hear about these mistakes. And I'm afraid for Marvel. Disney, as far as the children's side of things, people are going to continue to, I believe, people are going to continue to allow their children to watch Disney movies. But these Marvel and these MCU movies, the mistakes that he's making is putting him on front row seat to cancellation. And when people cancel him for his behavior towards these MCU actors who have been part of the MCU family for a long time, when people start getting wind of how he's treating them, number one, you're going to alienate your talent. They're not going to want to work with you. You're going to alienate your directors and the VP, with who all of them could go elsewhere and get the same kind of paychecks, maybe even better. And you're going to alienate the fans, and fans will stop supporting these movies because they're trying to prove a point to you. So again, we got the X-Men coming, we got the Fantastic Four coming, and I'm just not trying to see this thing get messed up before I figure out exactly how these things are going to happen. And I got ideas. I've got ideas. So it's just, it's a sad shame. And again, he's trying to put out fires by putting out these feel-good news stories, and it's not news. We knew that Anthony Mackie was going to be Captain America, and if the contract was right, we knew he was going to sign it. So, no surprise there. None whatsoever. Now, the last thing I had on my itinerary is this upcoming Netflix documentary called Blood Brothers, Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali. And, while it's not like a big blockbuster movie or one of those things, it is, to me, it's going to be must-see TV. And the reason why I feel like it'll be must-see TV is because these are parts of history that are not taught. You have to seek out the knowledge. And for somebody to compile a documentary that talks about these two brothers and how their friendship came about and how they began to disagree on the way that the Nation of Islam was going to be run, I think that is must-see TV. Because another thing is you get to see how brothers handle things without it getting stupid. I can disagree with you and it doesn't have to get dumb. It never has to get dumb. It's just we can agree to disagree, but present your case in such a way that I don't have a choice but to, listen to and the respect is there where I'm just going to listen to your point of view and tell you why I feel different, and we can respect that. Reinhardt68 says, I don't think you'll ever get to that point with Bob Chapek because the stockholders won't let it get there. They're already dealing with one franchise that's in disarray, and that is Star Wars. But I mean, are they really dealing with Star Wars? Or because to me, a lot of times people say, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy is out, and Kathleen Kennedy signs a new contract. I don't have a problem. If Kathleen Kennedy is who you want to be the head of Star Wars, to me, she just has to know what she doesn't know. So now, with getting this, what's the name, Filoni, and getting, Favreau, bringing them on to helm projects, these are people who know what you don't know. So it's okay to bring somebody in who fills in gaps that you don't feel. The things that I don't know how to do, I looked around for people who filled in gaps when I was managing and doing that kind of thing. But the stuff that my strong suits, I'm not strong at everything. So I will bring somebody in who fills in that need. Now, if Kathleen Kennedy has the mind for marketing and for a lot of other things, but she, as far as the creation of these shows and knowing what the fans want and expect, if that ain't her strong suit, then bring somebody in who does know. And that Filoni and Jon Favreau, I think those are people who know. Claire says, agreed. She ain't going nowhere. Filoni and Favreau are their ticket to success 100%. And as long as hey, as long as I keep these two guys satisfied, and what they don't know, Jon Favreau and Filoni, they're smart enough to know as well what they don't know. And they're going to have people like this, what is it called? The new Star Wars anime stuff. I'm telling you, there are so many new Star Wars projects coming out, and they all are appealing to a different market. Reinhardt68 says, I don't have a problem with Kathleen Kennedy. You're right. It was her decision to bring in Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, but they'll never give her credit for that, meaning the fans. But, I mean, if they give her credit for it in terms of viewership on Disney Plus or movie tickets, she don't care what you say out of your mouth. Your money is what talks. I can stand on the top of the rooftops and talk about how much I hate Bob Chapek. But if I continue and millions like me continue to support the things that he puts out, my money has spoken much louder than my words. Now, I do really hope that the shareholders are are paying attention to the PR mistakes that he's making, because he should never want to be the story, and he has been the story for quite a few weeks now. And You're an executive. You know, you ain't never supposed to be the story. And here he is. Here he is. And every time he makes a mistake, I hope that the YouTube community gets together and makes a video calling out these mistakes, because it's obvious that this man may have the book knowledge and on paper he might be able to handle this, but this is far above his head. He is used to managing rides and amusement parks, not people. Clarence says, I think Marvel will be okay as long as Feige is there. But you guys are right. Chapek needs to shut up. Yes. I said it last week. Somebody needs to save him from himself. Because I can tell, and I mean, I don't try to be like I know this man, but I know people like him. And instead of being okay with, you know what, that person got the last word, but we'll see how it plays out in court. He has to have the last word. He has to be the person to end things, end this conversation. And that's not realistic. It's not life. And that is not the way that you deal with other adult people. You just don't. You can, but it's not successful. You're never successful if you always have to have the last word and you always got to be right. Sometimes it's okay to say, I messed up. Blame it on being new to the position and keep it moving. This is how you start to get studio interference and people coming in and messing with you, what has been working for Marvel, Star Wars, whatever property. What's been working is not good enough because I didn't think it up. And I'm so scared. I'm scared of a person like him, this Bob Chapek, because he just seems like a megalomaniac who has to have his hands in everything. And I can't. I cannot. So, I have run out of things to say. What do you guys got? You got anything else for me on the Chapek, Bob Iger, Titans, anything? We're gonna wait a couple minutes to see if any more comments roll in, and if they don't, I'm gonna call it a week. I actually had fun this week. You guys, thank you for coming and interacting with me, joining me on this week's live stream. And again, if you're watching it live or on the rebroadcast, I do this on Saturdays. I'm supposed to start at 3, but I'm not the most technologically savvy person. And like I said, back when I was when I was working in management, I oh Reinhardt, yeah, of course. Sonequa Martin Green is gonna always get that love from me because she's a phenomenal actress, and she seems to be a good-hearted person. And I actually watched Space Jam 2 for her. And I'm a sports fan, and I do like LeBron. However, he was not the draw that made me say, let me go and watch this movie. It was Sonequa Martin Green, and I think she was underutilized, but I just love her. I love her to death. Exactly, Clarence. We needed so much more of her in Space Jam, but they got me. I mean, I was with a gang of children, like my nieces and nephews, so so they were gonna have the last word about what we watched that day anyway. But I actually sat down and watched it because I knew she was in it. Love Sonequa Martin Green, and I love her in Star Trek even more. So yeah, if that's it, I don't have anything else. Join me here next week, Saturday at 3 p.m., where we'll do this all again. And look for my reviews on anything that's coming out. Oops, sorry. Anything that's coming out as far as the new TV and movies. I'm gonna stay on top of the trailers and that sort of thing moving forward. Also, I do the Star Trek thing. So Star Trek Lower Decks, when that episode hits the next day, um, there will be some type of reaction from me. And I want to thank my friends for joining me in the chat. I had so much fun chatting with y'all today. I got nothing else. Peace.